Bringing artificial intelligence to music is more than just a fairy tale. I'm TONYA Hall for ZDNet, and joining me is Kristin Grant. She is the CEO of Westcott Multimedia. Welcome, Kristin.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
What does Westcott Multimedia do exactly?
Westcott Multimedia is an entertainment and software company specifically tailored for the music industry and in general entertainment industry as well. And we're focusing on building software tools to empower independent content owners to really make use of actionable insights from streaming data. There's a huge opportunity in that space, and so we're really looking at that right now.
You're speaking at South by Southwest on the topic of how labels should think about artificial intelligence. Explain the dilemma that individual artists face when trying to measure engagement.
Well, in terms of measuring engagement, the larger problem is that there's a massive value gap in terms of the amount of value consumers are getting from music online and the amount of revenue that artists and the businesses who work with artists get from that music. So there's a lot of reform being put in place, legislative reform to close the value gap, as well as copyright legislation to make up the difference that the gap is causing. So specifically in the US, there's the Fair Play, Fair Pay Act, which focuses on paying performance royalties when their music is played on the radio. And the States is one of the 5 countries in the world that currently doesn't pay for that music. Secondly is rights attribution and publishing is trying to make up the difference in the loss of revenue as a cause of music being streamed online. So there is an opportunity to focus on marketing and accessing consumer data from streaming to target market listeners in real time. The real problem with accessing that data is really that the market is fragmented. So where the consumption actually occurs is different from the people that own the content. I think about the utopia of using data and accessing data in terms of Netflix. In my mind, I break it up into 4 quadrants. So there's content, distribution, consumption, and measurement. So Netflix owns that entire island. And as a result, they can access data from all 4 sections of the island. So for example, they own Orange or have licensed Orange is the New Black. They'll distribute Orange is the New Black. It gets consumed on Netflix. And as a result, they get to access all of the data from all those different parts, kind of being horizontally integrated. So they get to access that information. In the music industry, if you take those 4 quadrants, content, the people that own the content, the people that distribute it, and where it gets consumed and who measures it, you can break all of that up. So it's really hard to access consumer data because it's walled, it's gated. A part of talking about this is the ability to take it out of context. So a part of the talk that I'll be doing is putting it into a fairy tale and story about access to consumer data. So would you like to hear that fairy tale?
I love fairy tales. Yes, please tell us.
So the majors sit knighted at the round table with the streams, and they have access to the gold, which is consumer data from streaming, specifically engagement data. So the majors sit knighted at the round table with the streams, and they have access to the gold because they own majority in the land of content. The independents own a smaller portion of the land of content, so they have to get gold from Robinhood. Robinhood is indicative of direct-to-fan platforms that carry insights from their platform and social media to independents. So direct-to-fan platforms could be Patreon, Pledge Music, Hive, AudioSense, Superphone, Bandcamp, Topspin. There's a ton of really interesting platforms that have emerged in the past 3 years that are taking advantage of this need in an amazing way to provide independent content owners with the information they need about who's consuming their products. That was a very long-winded way of answering your question.
No, great fairy tale. You mentioned Patreon, for example. Does it make a difference if models like Patreon are free, or if they're suggested, or if there's a paid subscription, or if the content provider has to pay? I mean, Patreon actually almost launched a paid version where you're going to have to pay to put your content up there. Is that a factor that you're putting into your setting?
Honestly, I haven't really looked at it, but I'd be interested in learning more about it.
Okay.
First reaction, I'd say no. I think that the more they're able to make, the more they're able to provide back to the artists who are their number one priority. So I see that as a good thing.
And you're looking for case studies to help you. What does an artist need to do to participate?
So they can just go on to westcottmultimedia.com and enter their email in the comment box at the bottom of the website. They just need to put their email in there, and then we'll reach out to them directly. And so what we're trying to do is showcase the need and what marketing to consumers in real time based on listening data or consumer data does to drive sales of merchandise and tickets. So what I mean when I say that is that there is a gap between the information that we're getting about who is listening to your music online, on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube, and utilizing that information to reach out to those consumers or like-minded consumers to sell all of the other ancillary income that you are able to sell as an artist. So merchandise, tickets, exclusives, all of that. And it's interesting because the information that's currently available is, a lot of the information is based on a static stream. So if you look at other industries like BuzzFeed, for example, you'll see that they value the rate of shares over time versus a static click or view of an article. For the reason that if you click, there have been so many times that I will click on an article and just walk away from my computer, or stream a song and walk away from my computer. So that a stream or a click doesn't showcase an engagement. It doesn't say to me, I have a high likelihood of spending money on you. But if I go on Spotify and I press the little add sign and I add the song to my collection, and I'm an avid listener, so if I really like a song, I will put it on repeat for an entire week. Right now, there's not a very effective way of seeing granularly where those people are, so by city or by zip code, based on the people that are adding the song to their song library or listening to that song on repeat 5 times within a month. So it's about, what's really needed is granular level consumer data, demographics, infographics, geographics based on engagement data versus a static stream. If you're an independent artist or an independent label, you usually have a small marketing budget. So what really matters is spending your money with the highest likelihood of getting a return. And what I've found is how people listen to your music is the biggest indicator of whether or not they're going to buy from you.
That is probably a great advice, and certainly an interesting study that you're performing, and I think well needed in the music business. If somebody wants to find you at South by Southwest and hear more about your presentation and the work that you're doing at Westcott, how can they do that?
They can reach out to westcottmultimedia.com, and again, just put their email at the bottom of the website, or follow me on Twitter, KCW Grant.
Well, Thanks again. I really appreciate you joining me. And if you want to follow me, you can do that. You can find me right here on ZDNet or Tech Republic, or find me on Twitter. I love to tweet at Tonya Hall Radio, or find me on Facebook by searching for The Tonya Hall Show. Until next time.